Welcome to the Gaia update for the Aries new moon on March 27th, 2017. I'm Adrienne Elise. This new moon happens on Monday, March 27th at 9 o'clock p.m. I hope you can join me for the live activation. That's going to be the day before, Sunday, March 26th at 8 p.m. That's Mountain Standard Time. And go ahead and sign up for that live webinar below. And that gets you instant access to the replay. So if you can't make the live, you can still get in there and discuss with us on the chat and talk about how this new moon is going for you. So this new moon is super intense. We have just had the spring equinox, meaning that the sun has crossed over the Aries point, which is 0 degrees Aries. This is the beginning of the zodiacal wheel. So it's coming into the spring, coming into Aries is the birth, it's creation, it's the child, it's the self. And we're just really feeling this energy with 5 planets in Aries, and also we have Saturn in Sagittarius making 6 planets in fire signs. So we're feeling activated. Not only that, we've got this spring energy going on. So the sun just crossed over this vernal equinox point and this rebirth place, going from the Pisces energy of the collective consciousness and the primordial energy and the primordial soup of creation, and then the spark that brings it into reality. So this is where we are right now in our life. We are at the spark of conception. We are at the spark, the beginning. So we might not know what this spark is going to really look like, but we can feel the energy of it beginning to come into our life. And so a lot of this new moon activation is going to be about letting the spark of the new, of creating the life you really want, getting in alignment with the truth of who you really are, and to really let that come into your life. Aries is the sign of the self. So with Venus retrograde in Aries, Venus is about what we really care about, what we love, what we value. And so with Venus in Aries retrograding, which is an inner journey, we're looking at our relationship to ourself, what we really care about, and how do we take care of ourselves and our needs in our relationships. There's just such incredibly potent energy going on right now around breaking down, letting go of the old structures, belief systems, relationships, jobs, situations in our life that aren't serving that true self, that truth of who we really are, that part of ourself that we haven't been able to stand up for. So when Venus is in Aries, she becomes a warrior goddess, and she's not concerned. Whereas Venus normally in her home sign of, say, Libra, it's an accommodating sign. Now Jupiter is there right now. Jupiter expanding in this energy of trying to make it right for everyone, trying to balance everybody's needs, trying to accommodate and be fair. But with all this Aries energy, it's speaking to the true fairness, true compassion, true love, and true energy around what's best for everyone comes to this world when we can stand up for ourselves, when we can deeply respect who we are in the truth of who we are, in the truth of ourself, our core essence self. This is the self that's been there before all of our personality complexes, before all of creation, the very beginning. It's at the core of everyone and everything in the universe. That was there, this garden, this possibility energy and potential creative energy that is this Aries point, this spark of creation, bringing things into form. That power of creation was there before any of our problems were there, or any idea who we had of who we are. So when we can tap back into that part of ourselves and start treating ourselves as if we have the power of creation, and understanding the massively magical, amazing existence that this life on earth in a body can be, if we can get out of our own way and allow for this creation energy, be the truth of what we really answer to in our life, rather than what we think. Aries is really good about expressing themselves without worrying about what other people think. Say, this is mine and I'm going to take it. And there's this feminine part of ourselves with Venus retrograde here in Aries that is having an opportunity to stand up for what's right and real and true and nurturing and compassionate in our lives. First, being able to heal the relationship with ourselves. Where have we given away our power? And how do we take it back? Because the thing about where we've given away our power, it's just that. Our power is the commodity. So it never happens that somebody's going to come along or something or the force or whatever energies that you have given your power to and try to give it back to you. No, you have to go claim that for yourself. If you're waiting for someone to give you that power back from your relationship, your situation, your job, it's not going to happen. You got to claim that for yourself and stand up for what you deserve. And so where your life is satisfying and working for you is where you're feeling valued in yourself. Where you're not feeling like life is working for you is where you're not valuing yourself. So this Aries energy is a super potent, powerful time to step in to this personal power. And what does that mean in creating the future of your dreams? So we've got this Venus retrograde, and the thing about this is, we just had the sun go over this Aries point, and the Venus retrograde is taking Venus over this Aries point 3 times. So it's already happened once, and right at the very beginning of April, like April Fool's Day, is when Venus is going to be crossing back into Pisces. Venus is going back into the underworld, into the mystery, into this collective consciousness, into where we have wounds that are programming our present time, wounds of the past and programming of the past, represented by Chiron there, coming up to the last degrees of Pisces. Now, Venus comes up to that energy of Chiron, the wounded healer, the wounds of our past, these belief systems that have been keeping us feeling bad about ourselves, keeping us, humanity in general, from standing up and fully actualizing who we are. And so Venus is backtracking into this territory, hanging out with Chiron just as she stations direct. And so Venus is saying, this game is over. It's time to rewrite the story, and no more victimization, no more the divine feminine a heap on the floor, holding the pain of humanity and being begrudged and tortured for their sensitivity or their empathic or healing nature. Now we're going to celebrate and stand up for these parts of ourselves and receive the abundance. So Venus rules our money, our values. And so when we have this rebirth of the goddess within, we're receiving true abundance into our lives. So be ready for that around the middle of April, when Venus turns direct, right there with Chiron, and we're turning our back on the old stories. I really went by that script for a long time, maybe the last 20 years or 20 lifetimes. But it's no longer working for me. That story of my ancestors, the collective consciousness, the programming of conditioning of this world, that's not who I am. And then Venus turns direct, and so around the middle of April, be ready to leave behind these old stories. Right now we're rehashing, we're in the middle, we're going back into Pisces, we're going to be like, what's going on here? Now, Mercury wants us to get this one right, wants us to understand what's going on, because Mercury is coming up on Uranus after and heading into a second retrograde. Now, Uranus is there in Aries. Uranus is the revolutionary planet, unexpected change, bringing big evolutionary changes to humanity, especially when in square with Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto, the destroyer, the breaker down, in the sign of our structures of our life. So this walking away from old belief systems is crucial to this moving forward. And Mercury is triggering what is happening in the sky right now, this Grand Cross in cardinal signs. So we've got that Pluto and Uranus. We also have Jupiter in Libra across from Uranus. And so Mercury is opposing Jupiter, squaring Pluto, conjuncting Uranus, and there across from Pluto in the fourth corner is Vesta hanging out, the asteroid Vesta. So Vesta's really qualifying this. Mercury's saying, okay, it's time to get this right. Let's get the facts. Mercury is associated with the messenger, the energy of recording history, the way we perceive things, and the everyday way that this affects our lives. So the scribe is coming up into this square and giving us an opportunity in this spark of creation energy to rewrite our history, rewrite our future, rewrite our story, our script, our life. And Vesta says, hey, it's about higher service. In Cancer, it's about nurturing family, home, the earth. What is your higher purpose here? Why are you on the earth? Because powerful message that I've gotten is that these indigo and starseed souls that you may be identifying as that, there is a very specific requirement in your physical body, meaning that you maybe had to, there's a lot of people that would like to come and have this experience on earth. Why did you choose to come here? Because if you couldn't get that right body and the right karmic situation, you wouldn't want to be here. So what is the point of you being here? The point of you being here is to come into your higher surface, bring forward your gifts that are associated with the true essence, the source of who you are, rather than the story of who you are. These true gifts are always gifts of higher service that can help the planet, and it's the biggest joy to be able to express and fully use these gifts. Now, everyone has them in a deep individual way, and so this is this Aries activation. It's like, go in there, the warrior goddess, reach deep inside and claim your gifts. Claim the creation of your future, where you're having this most amazing life in bringing your gifts in higher service to nurture the earth and humanity through this powerful shift. So Vesta, triggering the Grand Cross, is saying, hey, get on your path. Why is things not going right? Are you on your path? What is your path? The path isn't necessarily some certain thing you need to accomplish, because our reality is changing so fast. But the path is what is in alignment with the truth of who you really are in that most authentic self. So use this powerful Aries activation with this new moon in Aries. This is the beginning of the age of Aquarius, leaping off into a new era, creating the potent possibilities of the future. We don't know what they are. We don't need to know what they are. We only need to know that we want to value those within ourselves and allow the space in our life for these to form. So these next 2 weeks, 4 weeks, next 2 months of this whole Venus retrograde happening, and then there's a Mercury retrograde that happens. So Mercury triggering this Grand Cross, then going into a retrograde and triggering it again. And so this Mercury retrograde is going to be bringing home the reality of the last 4, 5, 6 years of astrology since Pluto and Uranus began to come together in 2011. So this is a big chapter of your life. You probably started some transformation around 2011, and then what happened is what needed to come forward in your life to be healed and cleared, and the karma that needed to be released. So a lot of us have had quite a journey over these last 5, 6 years, and now it's time to see what this really means. This is a most potent time on the planet, because when Pluto and Uranus were in conjunction in 65, 66, those changes didn't really come to be shown until a few years later, maybe even to the early 70s. So the light that's trying to come of awareness and change and insight and the manifestation in this world of what's trying to happen, this creation of in the real world of the new world, that's just starting to happen. And a super exciting time if you can get on page with this energy of the Aries point being triggered 3 times by Venus. The sun just went over the Aries point, and then Venus and the sun coming together. The sun's illuminating the goddess, the warrior goddess, saying, you go girl, giving her the strength to go back into Pisces and be like, we're not going by this story anymore. We're going to rewrite it and do it in a better way. And this is a very individual process for you and yourself and your relationship to yourself. And that will manifest and come out into your other relationships. And so all of this dynamic stuff that's happening, this Grand Cardinal Cross is in cardinal signs. They're the starters, they're the beginners. There is so much energy about moving into the new. And in order to do that, our warrior goddess needs to get activated, stand up for the truth of who she really is, deeply value herself enough to stop taking so much shit, and stand up for how she deserves to be treated. Go back and rewrite those stories based on low self-worth, the fact that the human has some sort of something to make up for in order to be good enough for heaven, when heaven is right here within us, the beginning, what we talked about, the source, the garden. It's here within us because it has to be. It was there before anything else, and it's going to be there when everything else is gone, and it's inherently here the whole time. So when you're going through these tumultuous changes and letting go and releasing these stories and belief systems, take a few minutes, take the warrior goddess, tap into that part of yourself that is like, maybe doesn't remember, what were you worried about last week at this time? Do you even remember? So what does that stuff really have? The stuff in our life that's coming and going that's like, whoa, that stuff is all blooming out of these core issues that have been hidden deeply in the programming of humanity and our subconscious and our individual karma. And now they're being illuminated, pulled out by the roots. And so that we can, so as much time as you can give to identifying to that part of yourself that is in that primordial connection into the oneness, and that doesn't change and doesn't move and is always there, it will help you release these patterns. We've been told that these patterns of conditioning, belief systems around whether we deserve, whether we're good enough, that stuff is, we've been programmed to think that that's our permanent reality. That was our permanent programmed reality of the Piscean age. Now it's time to rewrite that story. So grab a hold of this Aries energy. Mars is in Taurus, really helping us to bring this into Earth. Mars is our action planet, main action planet. In Taurus, it's saying, make it real. Let's be real about it. Let's bring it into Earth, but let's go step by step process. And so keep that in mind when everything you're going through, because there's definitely dynamic and fast, unexpected changes with that Uranus being triggered, so triggered by mercurial, changing Mercury across from Jupiter in Libra. And so there is magic afoot if you can tap into it. So even though things feel like they're falling apart or falling together, you're not sure which, just tap in to this, the fact that where you're at is the spark of creation. And so you're valuing yourself, you're loving yourself, you're visualizing, honoring the true self, that true connection to source that is within you, and allowing that warrior goddess to activate, to stand up for yourself, take your power back in your life, and move forward with deliberate steps while you still maybe don't know exactly what's going on, but taking that time to love yourself, reset your vibration, and recalibrate, and use that Mars and Taurus energy to just know you're taking steps on the path and you're just one foot in front of the other, and be open to the magical synchronicities. And the key to that is letting fall away what doesn't resonate and doesn't matter in your life anymore. And it is the coolest thing in the world when you have this deep issue or problem and it keeps trigger. It's triggering because your psyche is saying, enough, let's get rid of it. This is associated with the Chiron in your chart. And so trigger is illuminating it, bringing it to light, and allowing us to reprogram these painful stories of our past. And when you do that, it's an amazing thing when you look back and you kind of go, oh, You can barely remember how much you were triggered by that issue, because you can tell when you're triggered that not everybody would have that same reaction to the situation that happened. And so we can go within ourselves and go into the old stories of like, oh, I'm bad and I'm wrong and I should have done it better and why can't I heal this and what's wrong with me and yada yada yada, into all these stories of how that came to be as a belief system in your life. Or you can use the trigger as a way to get to the core issue and reset that program. So that's what this activation is going to be about, tapping into the creation energy of this time to uncreate our past and create a most amazing future. And so it's just an amazingly potent time. I hope you can join me for that live activation. That's Sunday, March 26th at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and you can sign up below. And I'm Adrienne Elise. I'm here because I am passionate about helping people have an empowered awakening experience. So I hope you will consider working with me. If you need help, if you need guidance, intuitive healing session can get you the information you need, get you the energetic resets you need, help with this type of reprogramming, ancestral past life belief systems, and set you into the vibrational resonance with that most amazing future and get you on that most optimal timeline. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope I see you on the live activation and continuing on this YouTube channel. And check out my other offerings at adrienneelise.com. Thanks so much for joining me. Namaste.